Welcome back to the Rogue Wave podcast, the other half of the dynamic duo that is Seila Fire Emergence, Mr. James Mascia. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I was just commenting between the break here that I've never met two people that like to be interviewed less than the two of you. So this is going to be a very fun Seila Fire Emergence interview for all.
Yay.
Basically, it's just going to be me being as energetic and bubbly as humanly possible.
So I can fall asleep then.
Probably.
Wow.
Probably. So this is not your first interview about Seila Fire Emergence, though. You had the Seila Fire Emergence episode 1 podcast. How'd that go?
It went pretty well.
That is also available on roguematter.com. It gets released the same day as Seila Fire Emergence. So every new installment, which there's 5 of them, we're gonna have feature you, hosted by Bevan, a friend of the show, Bevan, and she manages to get a lot out of you. But one of the things that I thought was pretty cool was the inspiration for Seila Fire Emergence. Can you tell the audience where you got the idea from, and it's based on something that actually is real in North Carolina?
Yeah. Well, the whole idea came from, my in-laws used to live in Southport, North Carolina, which is where, the story is set. And there was, a time where we were down there and my father-in-law is telling me about, these things that he hears, which are called Seneca Guns. And this is an actual phenomenon. There are these just things that, it's just a loud boom. It sounds like cannon fire that just happens naturally. And nobody knows what these things are or how they happen or where they come from. But they do happen, and they happen in various places around the world. And this area near Cape Fear, in North Carolina, is one of these areas that these occur. But they're named after Seneca Guns are named after like Lake Seneca, which I actually don't even know where that is. But that's where like these things were first heard, apparently, and then somebody that's how they got their name. But it's a real phenomenon that I pretty much based the whole story around to kind of explain what they are.
So both Emergence and its predecessor, Seila Fire Exile, which is both of them are on roguematter.com. Which one did you come up with first then? Because it's two ends to the same tale, essentially.
The Exile came first.
Okay.
And when I was writing Emergence, I had this whole idea for this story and setting it back in the 1950s and wanting to make it about hunting UFOs and everything. And like I wanted to add a twist to the story that it wasn't really these UFOs. And like the only thing that made sense when I was going
like the only thing that made sense.
It was the only thing. And I have this other story. It's just like this little short story. But this like totally connects back to that Exile thing. And so that's what I did. I just connected the two stories, and it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love the fact. I love diving in with other writers. Hassan writes as well too, so I'm sure he appreciates it too. It's people often ask, and I think it's funny because it's more like it's a writer. It's like a non-creative person asks a creative person, like, where do you get your ideas from? And most of the time, the answer is like, I don't know. They just really just kind of come to you, right? Like you just think of something, or something happens, or something inspires it, and then your brain just goes in a direction, right?
Crazed, whacked out dream.
Yeah, exactly, right? And so this is almost, to me, exactly that, right? Like you heard
Mhm.
something, you go, that's pretty cool. I wonder what the reason could be. I bet it's this. And
Yeah,
or it could be this. And then like a story will just develop in your head.
yeah, and that's exactly what happened.
Hassan, you're nodding. Is that your writing, your creative, your inspiration process also usually?
Sometimes, you
Yeah.
know, my creative process isn't as spontaneous as that. Unfortunately, it takes a lot of cultivating. Like a lot of ideas converge all together, and then finally, if there's like enough, then there's something to eke a story out. But it's basically like that.
Yeah. Because that always happens to me. I'll be usually in somewhere like quiet, like church, or I'll be in the shower or like riding a bike or something, and I'll be like, wonder whatever happened with that. Oh yeah, it's a superhero, and he's forced by his own costume. That's why. Yep. And then and that's gonna happen. Oh, and that's gonna happen. And then it just like it's just like weird. And then you're like, oh, I got to get out of the shower. It's like I better go write this down.
Mhm.
So, Seila Fire, just for those who are new to it, it's a novel. It's a novel broken up into 5 parts. Seila Fire Emergence. It's during the great UFO scare of the 50s. Small town in North Carolina is rocked by the sounds of cannons being fired just offshore in the middle of the night. But when the sun rises, there are no signs of damage, nor any signs of ships. Then the bodies begin washing on shore. This draws the attention of the U.S. Air Force, who is looking for signs of extraterrestrial life, along with Russian agents who believe this is the sign the United States has developed a superweapon. But what these phantom cannons are and where these bodies are coming from, that's anyone's guess. So let's talk about that. That's a great write-up. It's extremely intriguing. I think anybody who either reads it and or hears what I just said would want to go and read it. It's free, so you can go read it on roguematter.com. You can download the app
For free.
as well, which is pretty cool. So you can go and consume it right now. Talk to us about the process of writing up synopsises. And I know just, having a friendship and relationship with you, it's, professional relationship with you. That is your least, rank it. Interviews or writing up synopsises?
Well, there's a difference. I don't like doing interviews, but I just suck at writing synopsis or synopses. Like it's like how do you condense? I forget how many words this story is. I think it's almost 100,000 words when you come down to it. How do you condense that down into a couple of sentences? And that's the thing that you want to give enough. You want to give enough information, but you don't want to give too much information. But you want to give it so that it's intriguing, but you don't want to give away anything. So it's like, I suck at doing them, and
But that one's brilliant. I think that one is exactly, it boils it down. It's intriguing. Like, I don't know. I think that might be your best one you've ever done.
It might very well be.
So what were you going to add to that?
Conventional wisdom says that you're supposed to condense it down to a sentence. You're supposed to be able to condense it down to a
to
sentence.
be able to do the elevator pitch, that one sentence thing, that's sometimes a little bit easier actually than doing like the back of the book synopsis.
Yeah, because then first you got to be talented enough to condense it down to a sentence, and then you got to stretch that sentence into into a little paragraph for a synopsis. It's crazy. Yeah.
COVID has severely ruined the elevator pitch because no one gets on elevators together anymore. No.
but we do it enough at the conventions, and I got the joke. Don't worry.
I'm seeing through Hassan's glasses as he rolls his eyes at that one.
I'm trained. I'm very much trained to not respond.
That's dad like humor that. Right there.
Oh yeah, you wish.
we do the elevator pitches quite enough when we go to the conventions, though.
Yeah, no, you have to be able to do that. You have to be able to just get somebody
sentence
over to your table. I actually find the elevator pitch to be easy. I find the synopsis to be very difficult, though. I find that to be because the elevator pitch almost doesn't even have to be what your book is about. It just has to be enough to get someone's attention, right?
Correct.
In like one sentence. But that's the part that always gets to me is like, okay, how do we balance this to where it's like someone's reading and going, oh, this seems interesting versus, not, not being able to do that. It's tough. It's an art form in and of itself.
Yes.
So you mastered it with this. 50s UFOs. I love UFO stuff. I'm an Ancient Aliens guy. Love watching
Mhm.
anything on History Channel. How big into aliens are you?
I love it. You know, I watch that show too. Come on.
I know. Well, but the audience doesn't know that I know.
Yeah, I love. I watch the Ancient Alien show too. Haven't watched it lately, actually, but I
It's the
do
same.
enjoy that show.
You haven't missed anything.
I'm sure I haven't.
They've managed to crank 16 seasons out of the same like concept over and over again. It's pretty impressive.
You know, whenever I turn it on, it seems like it's like the same places they're going to.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I do like that show. I love doing the aliens and the UFOs, and I'm always fascinated by the flying saucers, and then they talk about Area 51, and of course that Hitler was friends with aliens, according to to all the conspiracy theorists.
The
So
Nazi bell.
yeah, the Nazi bell. I forgot. Yeah, the Nazi bell.
That's a fascinating. Hassan, are you big into UFO folklore at all?
No.
All right, so there is an actual case in Kecksburg, Pennsylvania, in 1965, where this object crashed in the woods in Kecksburg, Pennsylvania, and
Imagine
the town.
that.
Well, wait. This is where I'm going to tie it all together. This is good. This is a famous one. I like this one too. It was on Unsolved Mysteries when I was a kid, so this one I know is got at least some bones to it. The townspeople checked it out and they said it was like this bell-shaped object, and then the military kind of descended on it. Told everyone get out of the woods, can't cover it. The guy they were going to do some reporting. They supposedly threatened like the local radio journalists and all this other stuff. But the last thing the townspeople all saw was this bell-shaped object covered in like a tarp being wheeled out, by the U.S. military. Now, when they raided the Nazis in the 40s, they were working on some sort of time machine that was bell-shaped. And so people are convinced that
that's what that
bell
is. Yeah.
was actually sent forward in time by the Nazis. What do you think of that? Is that the sequel to Seila Fire?
Of course it is. Come on. Gotta have Nazis in there. We already have the Russians.
Got to throw Nazis in there. And the guy with a fedora on a horse
Yeah.
chasing the Nazis. Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's awesome, right?
Yeah, that one's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's like the horse, right? The horse is 1,000 years in the future.
We need to skip doing a pop culture podcast. I'll just do a UFO podcast from now on.
All you have to do is keep saying aliens for everything. I mean,
I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens. So is that why you chose to put this in the 50s?
Well, because again, it fit with the whole UFO, searching for the UFOs. So yes, it fits, and then the whole Cold War involvement in there also fits for that time period. And then there's also another thing that gets tied in that I pulled from, which is called Project Blue Book.
Okay, yeah.
Which is also part of like where we're witnessing like kind of the beginnings of this subsect, whatever we want to call it, of the Air Force that developed to search for UFOs. That's all in the book. It's all in the story somewhere.
So the main characters so far: Agent Robert Stockton, Russian Agent Katrina, and UFO specialist Evan Rollins. Talk to the audience. Let them know who are these people and what makes them special enough to be the main characters.
Well, we have the U.S. Air Force captain. That's Rollins.
Mm-hmm.
He's the guy that is searching for the UFOs. He's the guy that is looking, essentially on like the government's orders to find that alien life thing. So he's looking for, he's coming down to this town because, these phantom cannons are dropping bodies in the water. They want to find out why. So he's there searching for that. Then you have Katerina, who is the Russian agent, and she is they're convinced that the United States is building some sort of a super weapon that they're going to use against Russia. So she's there searching for that. And then Stockton is essentially following the the Russian agent, trying to discover what she's doing, and that's why he's there. And they all get involved with the raining bodies.
It's raining bodies. This is, I mean, you toggle between writing prose, but you also do a lot of comic book writing.
Yes.
What do you prefer? What do you enjoy?
I will say that doing the comics is probably a little bit easier. It's certainly quicker from the writing standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
But I do enjoy doing the prose probably a bit more, because it's I like just having I like not having pictures and letting the imagination take over.
That's pretty cool.
I think that, and being able to describe everything as it's happening, and you get, I feel like in prose you can get into the character's head a lot more than you can get into it with the comics and everything. So
yeah,
I prefer doing the prose a bit more, though I do again find the comic book writing is probably quicker and easier.
I find it the other way around sometimes. I find like I could write prose because comics is so visual, and so you almost, what ends up on my script is not what ends up in the final comic book a lot of times. Like I find myself having to rewrite the comic book a lot based off of what the artwork presents me with, and the art of dropping that other shoe in the comics, I feel like is a lot harder to do in the initial stages. Basically because, sometimes an artist in two ways, right? An artist will either not deliver what I was trying to get across, right? Like not be able to kind of give me that moment I was looking for, or see it in my eyes the way I saw it. Or in a lot of times they don't, but it's done in a way that I never expected. I'm like, wow, that's way cooler than what I would have thought, Right. Whereas the prose, I feel like you just have total control over.
Yeah, it is 100% control.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Hassan, what do you would think? You're a prose writer, you're a comic book writer as well too. You got a preference?
Yeah, I think prose, basically.
Yeah.
Comic books are more they're less driven by writing, as much as the writers of comic books would like to demur to that. But I mean, it is really visual. More of a visual. Yeah, it's a much more visual medium. You could get away with a lot more, a lot less in description, and really ride on the talent of the artist or whatever art you're using. But if you're if you're writing a book or you're writing a short story, something like that, it's all you. It's harder, but I mean, if you pull it off, it's more rewarding.
Yeah. So this is what happens when three guys who know each other and work together all get to be guests on the same podcast. See, look at that. Guests / co-host on the same podcast. You just got guys bullshitting about about the writing process. So, James, tell everyone where they can find you online and all the stuff you got going on.
We're drenproductions.com. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all looking for Dren Productions. We're just awesome.
Very, very good. And like we said, Seila Fire is available right now, roguematter.com, or download the app on iOS and Android and consume it. Sign up for a profile because there's going to be so much stuff coming down the line. You're going to want it. Everything on Rogue Matter is free, but then there's more stuff coming down the line that is extra stuff that only insiders can get to. So be sure to do that as well. James, that wasn't so painful, right?
Of course it was.
Well, it was fun for me.
Okay.
That's all I care about. That's all I care about. All right. When we come back, more Rogue Wave podcast. Hi guys, Mike Dolce here from the Rogue Wave podcast. If you like this video, please feel free to like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. It really helps us out. Leave a comment, let us know what you'd like to see in future episodes, and tune in every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern for a brand new episode of the Rogue Wave podcast.